It's Thursday, the 11th of April, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Hello, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1, rents have hit record levels and used car prices are rising again, in further blows to Australians feeling the cost of living crunch most of all.
House rents hit a record high across the capital cities last month at an average of $630 a week. It's the steepest quarterly gain in 17 years. Unit rents hit $620 a week, or the median unit rent hit $620 a week, continuing their record-breaking run of 11 successive quarters of growth. Sydney's most expensive. Next is Canberra, then Perth and Darwin, Brisbane, Adelaide, Melbourne and Hobart. That is at least for the housing market. Domain's rent report March quarter shows that in every capital city except for Canberra, rents are at record levels in the unit market. Everywhere is at a record except for Hobart. Domain's Chief of Research, Nicole Powell, said the first quarter of the year marks the rental changeover period, began with already low stock, hence prices went up. The good news is that the number of prospective tenants per rental list is easing. International student visa applications have peaked. Same with population growth. Some early signs that maybe there'll be an increase in vacancy rates, which should take some of the heat out of the market.
Yeah, that would be some good news, wouldn't it, Sean? And used car prices are rising again, having fallen last year. The reason this time is that shipping delays related to Houthi attacks in the Red Sea have really hit the local market.
Yeah, so car carriers coming from Europe are avoiding that part of the world. European cars, led by Volkswagen, make up about 20% of the new car market. Delays in deliveries are pushing up demand for used cars. Now, used car prices jumped by nearly 50% post-pandemic. That was all about computer chips and the delay in new car supply. Things got back to more normal, but Moody's Analytics says March was the highest month-to-month growth in used vehicle prices since May 2022. Higher used car prices, higher rents, very tough for some Australians.
Okay, on to story number 2 now. And the federal government is overhauling rules around mergers, giving more power to the ACCC to help it deal with potential anti-competitive mergers.
Last year, there were over 1,400 mergers at a value of around $300 billion. And the ACCC, the competition watchdog, gets to look at about 330 a year. So it's just not clear whether it's looking at the right 330. Under the new proposals, the competition regulator will be required to permit a merger unless it reasonably believes it would or would likely have the effect of substantially lessening competition. Plenty in it. Basically, companies making an acquisition have to notify the ACCC of the deal, then they have to wait for approval. Also, the ACCC will be able to consider serial acquisitions when approving deals, so a big player mopping up lots of smaller players might be captured under those rules, but the Treasurer rejected the ACCC's bid to reverse the onus of proof for mergers onto the companies seeking to do the deal. That will remain with the competition watchdog.
Story number 3, one of the country's top energy bosses says Australians will pay more to decarbonise the energy grid via higher taxes or rising power bills, and warns that subsidised rooftop solar is hurting the viability of large-scale renewable generation.
Alinta Energy Chief Executive Jeff Dimry, who said he's 100% in support of renewable energy, says the key question facing us is how best to decarbonise the grid. He told the National Press Club that Australians will have to pay more for energy in the future. He's spending no time considering nuclear as an option, but warns a surge in small-scale household solar installations is oversupplying the market. We actually need more batteries to absorb the glut. Otherwise, coal and rooftop solar will lock in a negative feedback loop, and that will undermine efforts to reduce emissions.
Story number 4, what do you make of this one, Sean? Boeing allegedly took shortcuts to ease production bottlenecks for its 787 Dreamliner aircraft that could eventually impair the structural integrity of more than 1,000 of the wide-body jets in service. This is all according to a quality engineer who worked on the planes.
Yes, the Boeing whistleblower alleges that the embattled plane maker wrongly measured and filled the gaps that can occur when airframe segments are joined together. Over time, the issue could lead to significant fatigue, according to a letter from the whistleblower. Now, Boeing disputed the account, according to Bloomberg, noting it had halted 787 deliveries for nearly 2 years after it found a spate of tiny structural imperfections in the joints where the carbon fibre barrel sections are bolted together. Still, the claims intensify scrutiny of Boeing's manufacturing, which is, of course, course, under pressure ever since earlier in the year when a fuselage panel blew off a nearly new 737 MAX 9 shortly after takeoff.
Last one, story number 5, which I think is just a little bit scary. OpenAI and Meta are on the brink of releasing new artificial intelligence models that they say will be capable of reasoning and planning, which are critical steps towards achieving superhuman cognition in machines.
This week, executives at OpenAI and Meta signaled that they're preparing to launch their next versions of their large language models, the systems that power generative AI applications such as ChatGPT. According to a report in the Financial Times, a senior executive at Meta said the company was hard at work figuring out how to get models not just to talk, but actually reason, plan, and have memory. Meta and OpenAI's upgrades are part of a wave of new large language models being released this year. Reasoning and planning are important steps towards what AI researchers call artificial general intelligence, human-level cognition, because they allow chatbots and virtual assistants to complete sequences of related tasks and predict the consequences of their actions. Scary stuff, Michael.
Yeah, it certainly is. There we go, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 11th of April, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you just like to get one email every week that's got the main stories that you need to know, head along to fearandgreed.com.au and sign up for our weekly newsletter. It is very, very easy, and it's just one email a week. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.